And speaking of those warm temperatures, Chris, something a little less exciting, the pollen. So if your eyes are getting itchy, listen up.
All right, meteorologist Matt Gray checking in on the pollen counts and how you can use the weather forecast to avoid all that itching and sneezing.
And this may be more practical information than you think, because I know what people are thinking. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, hey, just Google the pollen count and figure it out. But it is not that simple. Hopefully, you will be able to get some help from this report if you're starting to really feel it right now. All right, so multiple studies in recent years found that most pollen counts that you can find with a quick search, well, they were only right about 50% of the time at most. And, well, we know what the grade is on that one. Make your jokes now, everybody who's watching. And that's because, look, there are not many places in the country that actually measure pollen to give us these baselines. Now, lucky for us, we do have reliable pollen measurements from Coeur that we can use as evidence for how weather and climate affect pollen counts around here. So first, let's talk about allergy seasons. Tree pollen, which is what we're seeing right now, gets going in March and April. Grasses will join in the month of May. So May into early June, that's one of our worst allergy times. Tree pollen wraps up in June, and then we got a little bit of weed issues as we head into the summer and the fall as well. Now, the peak of each of these allergy seasons is a little different each year, and that all depends on how our weather and our changing of the seasons go. Over the past 5 years, Coeur d'Alene pollen counts in April match up with temperatures in March and April, and that includes so far this year. Moderate tree pollen was reported in Coeur d'Alene back on April 2nd, and so the warmer it is, the earlier that tree pollen gets going, and certainly that evidence bears it out. Now, 2024 is the warmest start we've had to spring since, get this, 2016. So if you're feeling the effects of some of that pollen already, the way things are trending, you might want to buckle up here for the next few weeks. So what can you do in your day-to-day life to try and avoid some of this nasty pollen? Well, first, you've got the daily plant cycle, the daily cycle from night to day. As we heat up during the day, the plants release that pollen. As they're growing, they're absorbing that sunlight, but they'll close up shop as we start cooling in the evening. So midday's around peak pollen time. In the evenings and in the mornings, that's when you go outside. Warm, dry, and windy days, well, they also encourage more pollen production, help spread that pollen all over the place. And a cool, wet, and humid day, well, that can help lower pollen production, and also, you get some good rain, it'll wash some of that pollen out of the air. So, considering the forecast for this weekend, likely be a little bit of a pollen palooza. So, just something you want to keep in mind as we're enjoying this nice weather.
Okay, pollen palooza is my new favorite
It makes
expression.
it sound fun. It's not very fun.